I'm Maren Jenner and I write romance novels, usually contemporary romance. That's what I have published right now. I have some fantasy in the works, but yeah, I've written one complete trilogy and I started a second one that's following Four Brothers, and we're talking about the second one today, The Wrong Idea.
What inspired the wrong idea?
Well, I guess to answer that, I have to say that we started with the first book, and I came up with that couple first with Sean and Leah. And Leah starts by dating Sebastian, the main character of the second book. And they're more good friends and they figure out it doesn't work. And she figures out which brother she's actually supposed to be with. And he needed his own book. And I'm like, okay, I think I can do one book for each of the brothers. I think that we can do this. They're all very fun. So I'm on the middle, almost the end of writing the first draft of the third book right now. So it's been pretty fun exploring each of them.
How did you get into writing in the first place? Did you always sort of know that you wanted to get steer into writing, or it came as a surprise?
I've always known that I've enjoyed writing. When I was in elementary school, there was a contest each year. We would all get to make our own little picture book. We get to pick our size and we'd make it however we wanted to and illustrate it ourselves, make the story. And then a group of actors would come and they would choose some people's stories to act out, and you got to sit on stage in a director's chair while they acted this stuff out with like costumes and full on everything in front of the whole school. And I had mine chosen one year, and it was the best thing ever to watch people enjoy the story that I wrote. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do.
That's amazing. Did it intrigue you to do like screenplays in that case with the actors acting it out, or it was just always going to be more novel based?
Well, I've I've thought of both. The screenplays are, a very hard thing to
Yeah.
break into. And I found that writing stories is easier for me than just like a back and forth dialogue with stage directions. I like to have the full story with the full range of emotions, and I'm a very avid reader, so I love all the books and I just like the way they do that. Although I collect movies too. So I mean I'm just yeah, I like stories in just about every
I
form. So
I find that I prefer actual stories, like reading actual books. When it's a screenplay, I struggle because I'm like, I don't know, my brain doesn't like it as well, but I like the seeing the emotion and everything in the actual pages, not so much through the dialogue and stage directions.
yeah, reading a screenplay is a lot harder. I mean, actually seeing it come to life on the big screen, like I'm
Mm.
all for that. But actually reading the screenplay, I've read a couple of those and that's hard.
It's very hard. How did you choose which characters to center the story around? I know you said you decided that the both brothers get a book, but did you always set out to have the characters the way they are?
So the first one started with Sean and Leah, and then it just made sense to me to have the next one be Sebastian since she was the brother that he, he was the brother that she kind of was like, no, I don't, we're not actually going to be together. And I'm like, all right, well, Sebastian needs his happily ever after. We got to figure this one out. And he needed someone spunky and sassy. And
Yeah.
the main character's name in that one is Calliope, Callie for short. He's the only one who calls her by her full name. But she's got purple hair and a nose ring, and she likes to dance for fun. And that's very much opposite of what he is. They're very much opposites attract and very much balance each other out. And they're a lot of fun to write.
You need to have that sort of balance with the characters to make it work. What's your process for writing your books? Has it changed
I'm
over time?
I'm very much a pantser, as they call it, where you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants. You don't outline, you don't do anything. I usually have a first scene or a character that inspires me, and I just start writing.
Mhm.
I'm very much a linear writer. I like to write in order, and it's taken me a lot of time to figure out that I can just do like a placeholder and be like, okay, I got to skip this scene. This happens here. Just do like a couple quick sum ups of that, and then move on to the next one if it's not coming to me. before I'd kind of fizzle out and just be like, get frustrated because I couldn't get it quite right or whatever. I'm like, it's okay to move on. So I think that's what's changed. But I've tried outlining, I've tried doing all this other stuff, but the characters always just take over for me. It's kind of like a movie that plays out of my head, actually, what with more than the screenplays have, the actual emotions, the expressions, the everything. So
You're just following along and writing down in detail what what they're telling you to do.
basically, if I can't see it, it makes it hard for me to write. And there are days that it's like, oh crud, I can't see anything here. What am I going to do?
Come on, guys, speak to me a bit more today.
Exactly. So one time you can actually, hear the voices in your head and not be called crazy.
What's your approach to world and character building? Do you sort of have an idea of your like basic details before you start writing, or you just start writing and get your characters'
I
information
just
as
start
you
writing and they kind of come to me, and I'm a very fast drafter. I'll have my first draft knocked out in, like a couple weeks to a month usually.
go?
And then that's kind of how I look at it as my outline. That's how I get to know my characters and I see what they're doing and I see their motivations, and then I get to go back and then add the details. It's like, okay, for example, with this brother series, the fourth book is going to be about the oldest brother, and it's taken me several rewrites of all these other books to actually get to sort of know him. Like I
Mm.
even got through the second book and I'm like, I don't even know this fourth brother hardly at all. He's being quiet and he's just not talking. And but now I'm finally almost through the third book and I'm like, okay, that's his motivation for this. That's who this is, and that's he likes chess. Who knew? I mean, it's like random things that kind of pop up. So they get stronger with each draft, and I get to go back and I get to add those details, and that's always fun.
I guess also with having it that being the brothers, it sort of grows as the story, each of the books move along as well, so
Yeah,
you start to get them a lot more.
I try. I try to give them, a little spotlight and be like, okay, well, here's a few details about them, in the first one. And everyone, it's been kind of fun because a lot of my fans have their favorite brother. They can't wait for this book. They can't wait for that book. And it's fun to have that excitement. And yeah, they're all very different, which is fun to
You
write because then you're reading different characters. So,
you need that no brothers are the same as well, which is good.
right. I don't want them all to be identical. That's
No,
not fun, especially in personality.
no. Did you have a favorite moment to write in The Wrong Idea?
So I had a favorite part to research because I got to go to Mackinac Island, which I live in Michigan, and I grew up going there a lot during the summer. We would take a trip there quite often. Um, and you probably don't know what Mackinac Island is. Like, it doesn't have much of a impact on you, but there's a small. So our shape. I can't talk. Our state is shaped like a mitten, and up
Mhm.
here, before the Upper Peninsula, there's a few islands, and there's a big bridge called Mackinac Island, and you can go across that, and you can take a ferry from either side of the straits. And the island itself has no motorized vehicles on it, other than emergency vehicles. So it's all
Mhm.
horse-drawn carriages, people on bicycles, people walking, and there's a very famous place to stay there. It's called the Grand Hotel, and it's supposed to be like the height of opulence, and it's super expensive to stay there. And some movies have been filmed there. There's some famous incidents that have happened there. It was a very key point in some of the wars. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head right now, but they're really known. This island's known for their fudge, and they have amazing fudge. It's really good. But my friend and I got to go, and I'm like, okay, I haven't been here in forever. I really want this conference that these two go to be set on Mackinac Island. So my friend and I got to go up there for the whole day trip, and we did all the things. And there was like a horse-drawn tour and the tour guide, and we got to see the butterfly house, and a lot of the things that actually were in the book were inspired from real experiences and real places that are actually there. And that was a lot of fun. And then actually writing that, trying to view it from their point of view, was really fun too.
I think research is the best thing about the books if you actually can actually go to the locations. Like, yeah, I like this. I've got an excuse. I'm
Yeah,
a
it
writer.
was fun. I mean,
Which of your characters do you relate to the most and why?
Well, I feel like they all have different parts of me in them.
Mm.
And so I have a hard time just choosing one. It's like I like Callie's zest for life. That's really fun for she's just very free spirited and I have moments like that, but I'm also very type A like Sebastian is, and I like to have certain things go certain ways, and I get upset if they don't. So, um, but like out of all the brothers, um, the youngest one, Silas, is probably one that I relate to the most. He's kind of all over the place and just likes to have his fun and likes to be with people and that's usually me. I mean, I get my social battery worn out eventually, but yeah, I like that.
I think we all have a bit of each of the characters in all of us. And like, my social battery definitely is drained after a while. And they're like, no, I'm done. Thank you.
Yep, I gotta go reset now. Sorry.
Come back to me tomorrow in the next couple of days. We can do it.
Yeah, rain check, please.
How has publishing and writing a book changed the way you see yourself?
The way I see myself, I feel very accomplished. That I mean, the the book in the back up there, the blue one, is the Cupcake Standard, and that was my very first one. And when the box of those arrived the very first time, and holding that in my hand was just like, okay, I've been working for this for years now, and this is pretty darn cool. Um,
Mm.
and these are all through a small press that I've been doing, and then I just released my first fully self-published little novel in January, and I actually have been really having a lot of fun with that because I get to have full control over it and see like all my pages read and how much I made this day, and it set it for free whatever day or that kind of thing, and I
Mm.
really enjoyed that extra bit of the control, the process of it. It makes it more rewarding in some ways.
I think it's always going to be having your book in your hand. That's like the most rewarding part, no matter if you're self-published or going through a publisher as well. Just the books in your hands.
Just getting to see it and hold it and like, oh, hey, I wrote this. I mean, a physical, tangible thing, manifestation, I mean, that's pretty cool.
And everyone talking about it too. People reading it is
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, that helps. I mean, that's always nice.
Yeah. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer or in your writing?
I have a literal library upstairs. You have to have 1,000 books to have a library. I have one of those. So, yes, there are a lot of authors and books that inspired me. And I'm terrible at naming favorites. I can't just pick just one. Like I went through I love the classic phase. I went through a fantasy phase. I did all the Twilight and all those when they were all brand new. And I've always loved romance. And when I was growing up, my parents wouldn't let me read any of the steamy stuff, so I'd do the ones that were just kissing, but it was still like, oh, they have their happily ever after, and it's like I just always wanted to write something with that happily ever after. And that's always been my goal. And something that makes people feel good and how, yeah, love can bring people together. Love can be healing and just try to make it good for everybody.
That's all that we need. We all need the happily ever after stories, the romances. That gets us in the good mood.
It really does. It's just, I prefer reading those. I will read other genres, but that's my favorite. I always come back to that.
The comfort.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a writer working on their first book?
That's always a hard one. So my first book the full manuscript that I um, finished. I had a couple of my very close friends read, and they'd never done any of the, beta reading process or an alpha reading or any sort of reading for critique process before. And I went through it and I did stuff based on their tweaks. And everybody, of course, they're my best friends. They're like, oh, hey, this is amazing. So I went and I pitched it to a writers conference, and they really loved the concept of both three, however many agents I pitched to, they all like the concept, but they're all like reading it and they're like, well, your writing isn't quite there yet. I mean, it had been a while since I'd actually been writing again, and I was using the like I started off with the typical wake up on your way to
Yeah.
somewhere trope. And then they're like, no, you can't, that's really overdone. We don't do that anymore. And I was using was every other sentence and just, very rookie mistakes. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I didn't realize it was that bad. Okay. So I had to go take a step back and redo it. And someone was like, did you have any beta readers? And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So um, having somebody else that you don't know, especially somebody who has read other manuscripts before, it's a really big, helpful thing. It's not always easy to find amazing beta readers, but I've been lucky and I've been able to find some pretty good ones. And usually, even other authors that you can just swap with, you learn what works, what don't work. You can usually do it for free, so it's almost free editing if you can get that. But the process of being able to read someone else's work and have someone read your work is so invaluable to me. It just helps me see my stuff through a different lens, and I find all these things. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that was an issue. And then I'm like, yeah, you're right, that person really shouldn't have done that because that's not in their character at all. But what was I thinking?
You need like the people who aren't your friends to sort of read through to have the nice, like critical feedback that can actually
Yes.
help you. And
Yeah. I mean, I really do like the people that are like, yeah, you're great. I mean, everybody needs those too. But to
yeah.
actually have someone, I'll have a beta reader go through, and then I'm like, okay, I need a couple days to digest this feedback because it's
Mm.
not perfect, and I'm so annoyed, which is, ridiculous because obviously everything's a work in progress. But then you take a second, you get your mind reframed, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go make this better. And yeah, that process is always hard, but necessary.
It definitely is. But have you been given advice that stuck with you throughout your writing in all your books?
Um, I had an answer to this, and I don't remember what it was. So it stuck with me really well, obviously. um, there's always, the show don't tell.
Mm,
I'm one that is I'll go through it, and like I said, I do my first draft really fast. So then I know going into the second draft that I've got to add emotion. It's like my first draft is mostly dialogue and actions, and trying to hit that emotional sweet spot is always a challenge for me. And I have a really good critique partner who is really good about helping me find those spots. And she's had some really invaluable advice about, just specific spots to amp things up or to just make sure I'm going in the right direction with that. Um, yeah.
you need the eyes to say you're missing something, emotion to help people connect as well.
Well, I mean, because I have the movie playing in my head the whole time,
Yeah.
right? So trying to get it, I'm like, hey, it made sense in my head. It looks great in my head. And then I put on the
What are you
page and
talking about?
I'm
It's missing.
like, oh, right. It's like, well, I guess I didn't actually tell you that they did that or felt that way. So that would probably make more motivation for whatever they're doing down the road.
Makes sense why having people read through it helps as well, because you know what is happening in your head. You might just fill it in without realizing it if you're reading over it.
Yeah. And like this series itself is a series of standalone. So it's like
Mm.
supposedly anybody can come in and pick up any book in the series and be fine, right? So I've been really having a hard time like remembering that I have to describe the characters each time or be like, hey, yeah, these are new people. There might be some new readers here that I really actually want to have know what's going on. I mean, it's kind of helpful.
Definitely. What's your favorite writing snack or drink?
I have my bottle of water with me all the time. I'm actually pretty good about being hydrated. Um, I'm not a coffee drinker, which shocks a lot of people, but my favorite, I usually have a Coke Zero once a day, and that's one of my favorite things. And I usually have a couple pieces of chocolate with that, just to have a little afternoon pick me up or late morning pick me up, depending on when I need it.
Need a little burst of sugary goodness to
Yes,
get you in the mood.
I got to get going somehow.
Yeah, chocolate's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Do you play music while you write? And if so, what's your favorite type of music?
So I like to sit on my couch and I like to write in silence. So when people are around, it's distracting. My kid will be watching. I have a teenager who will sit on her phone and play stuff and laugh and whatever. And I can tune tune her out okay. But I'm not like a cafe writer, and I don't need the ambient noise. And I can do instrumental music if I need something to block out other stuff. But but then if I'm actually like, okay, so I'm stuck and I need to plot something, my favorite thing to do is go driving and turn on the radio, turn on some music. I have a playlist of I don't know how many songs, and I'm just a very big mood listener. I go from everything, so it's like depends on what I'm in the mood for, just like everything else. But I'll drive around and like then I don't know if it's just like I can tune that out and I can focus better, or if it just gives me a little bit an extra, it just gives me a distraction and it's enough to get my mind off of it, and I can usually plot pretty well in the car.
I guess if you're having a movie play in your head that you're trying to write down, having music and other noises would be very distracting.
I have to add the soundtrack later.
That makes complete sense. And my final question is, who has been the biggest supporter of your writing?
I would say my husband and my daughter, and my daughter's always mad at me because I write open door contemporary romances, and I'm like, no, you cannot read my stories. Not yet. Wait till you're an adult, please. She's like always begging me, Mom, can you write something that I can read, please? Or just black out all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, no. But she's a very big advocate, and it's been fun to see her do that. And my husband does not read. He will read nonfiction, but fiction is not his thing, and he's a lot slower reader. He likes his audiobooks. My books are not an audio, but he supports me in so many different ways, making sure that I have the time that I need, making sure to help me with running my daughter around, making sure um just I mean, he's there for all my wins. He's there to support me when I have stuff I need to bounce off somebody, and he's always willing to listen and just be the person that I need when I need it. So they're pretty awesome.
I'm glad it's the people closest to you because they need to you need the
Yeah, because we
support.
got to be able to understand. We had a snow day yesterday. There was like a ton of wind, and we had big drifts and stuff. Um, and I'm kind of in crunch time for finishing up book three to be on track to get it to my publisher and the right thing. And my husband was like, "Okay, kiddo, let's get you out of the house," because and I'm like, "Thank you, please leave. I love you, but no."
Thank you
I
very
had
much.
Reggie Tan today.
I
Yeah.
need it. I need the quiet.